All right, for those that missed out, today at 5 p.m. Central Time on Unity Candles, we have our Jason Takes Manhattan candles available along with other surprises. 5 p.m. Central, link in bio, Unity Candles, let's go. Hey guys, what is going on? This is your old pal CHH. Welcome to today's video. We've got something really cool for you guys to see today. We're looking at Jaws, the 50th anniversary release. Check this out. This is the new Steelbook right here. But check this out. Before I show it, I want to talk about something right up front. So obviously the thing about this is this release has a brand new documentary. Now, Steelbooks are really fun, and I love Jaws. It's something I enjoy collecting almost as much as Friday the 13th, but I feel like everybody kind of likes collecting Jaws stuff. I've got Martha's Vineyards books about Jaws. I have the Jaws Logs books, and I've got all kinds of cool stuff. Soundtracks, laser discs, VHS tapes, full-screen DVDs. Jaws was the first movie I ever saw on DVD, which was also something special. I used to go on the ride as a kid at Universal. God, I loved so many memories I've had with this movie. Jaws is in a lot of ways one of the first movies that I ever really fell in love with, like genuinely fell in love with. But I want to talk about this really quick. This release is a 50th anniversary release, so it does have, like I said, the brand new documentary, but some of you guys don't want to spend the money on the Steelbook. But maybe you're like, damn, I wish they would have done something. Well, check this out. I'm going to put this up right now. There actually is a standard 4K release of Jaws, the 50th anniversary release, as a standard 4K release for $22. Now, the cool thing about this is it does include that new documentary. So, if that is something you want to hear more about, whether I think the documentary is good and you think it's worth owning, you can get it in a standard 4K release, not just this one. But here's some really cool releases I just want to show you guys really quick of Jaws. This was the 4K that initially came out in this holographic cover, and it comes with the movie inside, and then it also has a Jaws book. This was a really nice release when it came out. And here's a really nice overseas release of Jaws 3. I know Jaws 3, I want to show you guys this. This is a chunky box release of Jaws 3 that Universal did, and it came with posters, which I have hanging up over there. And it's lenticular, and it's a steelbook. It's got a steelbook inside with art cards and a booklet, which is pretty cool. It's got the artwork from the American DVD releases, too. So I've got some pretty cool releases for Jaws. They did a really nice version of this for Part 2, but it sold out way before I could even get my hands on it. So, guys, I'm not going to waste too much time talking about Jaws. Obviously, everybody knows that this is, in fact, a masterpiece. This is what I consider to be a genuinely timeless movie. I love it. I've never watched it and not said to myself, this movie's not perfect. It really is one of the greatest horror movies, and also I think just one of the greatest movies of all time. I think this is Steven's best film he's ever done. Now, I think Steven Spielberg has done some amazing films, but in my opinion, no movie to me matches the quality of Jaws. It's just truly a perfect film, and I love learning about the film, which is really why I was excited to get this. Like I said, maybe if I knew that standard release existed before, I would have gotten that because I really was more concerned about the documentary as opposed to the release. But, it is what it is. I got the Steelbook. So, the movie is perfect. The 4K, of course, we already know because I had reviewed this release. Maybe I reviewed, I don't remember, but because I had reviewed the initial 4K release when it came out, we all knew that Jaws was going to look good. I think Jaws is even a movie where they really spend the money to restore it right because it's a movie that's constantly sold well, and it's constantly a movie that, people buy. I think Jaws has continued to sell the way maybe like Halloween has sold throughout the years. Anchor Bay continuously put the movie out because it would sell. I think Jaws is no different. Jaws always sold, and hence that's why there's a 50th anniversary 4K release of it, because it's going to sell. So, the movie's perfect. It looks phenomenal. That's that. The reason we're here today is just to talk about what makes this release special, and of course that is right here. The Jaws includes the Jaws at 50 definitive documentary. I took the sticker off the wrap and put it in my Steelbook just so I could show you guys. I can easily get it off without damaging it. Let's show you guys the artwork. I think you guys will really like this. Look at that. That is beautiful. I dare say that this is the best Steelbook for Jaws so far. I do like the very, very simple but basic kind of blue Steelbook that they did. But this one's really nice. I love the kind of Universal Studios theme park kind of art with the collage stuff. And here's the back. It says, "No swimming, hazardous area, beach closed by order of the Amityville Police Department." It has a nice kind of a matte finish. It feels really nice in the hands. Let's open it up. I do have a digital code, which I will probably give away on Patreon if anybody even wants it. Most of my viewers are physical media people. But when you open it up, this is the kind of look we're going to get. 3 discs, packaged about as good as they can be. So you got your 4K disc, which, again, looks phenomenal. Great art on that. You do have the movie on Blu-ray. And there's the Blu-ray disc right there. And then this, obviously, is your 50th anniversary documentary disc, which is a Blu-ray. So, there it is right there. The 50th anniversary documentary disc. Now, the question is, how good was the documentary? I have seen every single Jaws documentary. The Shark is Not Working. I've seen just the making of Jaws. Every documentary that was ever made. Like the ones that came out during the Laserdisc era, which I have the big fat Laserdisc collection, which came out on a CLV, I believe, Laserdisc, which is 4 discs to watch it, but it's better picture quality, 30 minutes per side. There was a documentary, I think that was The Shark Was Working. The name of it may be slipping me, but I think that was the one. Super comprehensive. I love watching documentaries about this film because this is one of the hardest films I think ever to make. Jaws at 50 was surprising because I genuinely at first, my gut said this is going to be a fluff piece. I thought this was just going to be some kind of talking heads basically just saying how scary the movie is. But in actuality, I have to admit, I was pleasantly surprised at the documentary. The who's who are in this. Obviously, Mr. Spielberg is all throughout this, and this documentary is somewhat told through a first-person perspective through his entire journey of the film. You had Peter Benchley's wife and family talking, because I believe Peter's passed away, but they talked all about writing the book, what inspired Peter to write the book, the release of the book with the artworks that it had, which makes me kind of want to keep an eye out looking for this book now to find original pressings with the black artwork, then with the shark that looks like a penis, which they actually talked about in this, then to releasing the movie where it actually had basically this shark artwork on the front of the novel, which became the mainstay release. And also, I didn't realize it, but it's true. Of course, the novel artwork that was the original, the final run, was used on the poster. So that was really cool. They talked everything in chronological order, which was great. Scouting the place, the guy who did all the storyboards and was part of the set design for making the shark and the production, and like finding the locations. Everything was told through a chronological order. And you had people like I said, Steven Spielberg is first person, talks about this the whole time, and he's sharp as a tack. I know Steven's got to be, 77, 78 now? I know he's not a spring chicken, but he presents like he's 50, and he's very, very sharp. He looks very, very healthy, which is great. I hope he continues to make some movies. And they really dove into every aspect about this. The drama, the rough stuff. The studio wanted to shut the movie down. Steven told personal stories about how his reputation was getting so bad based off of the making of this film that he thought he was going to be fired. And he even said that one person came up to him and said, "You know you're not going to work in this town ever again, right? Everybody's talking about how this film is a disaster and you have no control over anything." And they said that they were so sure that he was going to do a bad job and it was going to be a flop that they had no problem saying it to him. He talked about how he had, what the after effects of this movie for him, how he was glad it was a hit, but there were some really touching moments that I don't recall him ever really talking about in previous documentaries, especially not to the length that he did. And, they had some fun anecdotal stuff where you had people like James Cameron come in here and talk about it. But I don't know what it was about James Cameron. He came in here almost with a little bit of a bravado instead of really just trying to talk about how influential and great of a film Jaws is. I like James Cameron, although he's definitely got his opinion about people that buy movies nowadays because they want them to actually look like they were shot on film. But, I'm not going to hate on James Cameron. But George Lucas talked very, very highly of Jaws, like a fan, which made me really appreciate seeing George in here more. And it was, honestly, was it the best Jaws documentary I've seen? It's tough. I was genuinely surprised by how deep this one got and how introspective Steven got with this documentary. Some of them were fun, and they're kind of like eye candy documentaries. This one really got behind Steven's mind more than some of the others. So it may not be the absolute best Jaws documentary, but it's close. And here's another thing. This is on a Blu-ray disc. I will say, even though this is on a Blu-ray disc, it presented and looked like a 4K. Because this is a new Oh, by the way, Greg Nicotero was in this, and he talked all about getting Bruce out from that salvage lot where he ended up and restoring Bruce, and they got him hanging up, I think, in the Universal building now. But this documentary really looked phenomenal. I mean, obviously, I watched this on 4K, a 4K player on my TV, but because this is a brand new film and it was shot so professionally, like, this is not like a modestly made documentary. Obviously, this is a super high-end documentary. It looked like a 4K as you're watching it, especially when they're showing the movie clips. So the documentary is a phenomenal documentary. I'd give the documentary an A-, just for, you know, the quality of stuff that they got into. I was super impressed by that. The question is it worth owning this release for the documentary? Here, I just had a conversation with a buddy, and he said, Christian, is the name of that documentary Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story? I said, yes, it is. He says, okay, well, it's going to be coming out on, I think, Hulu and Disney Plus or something this summer, later this summer, in a month or so. Is it worth owning? What do you think? And I was like, well, here's what I'll say. The documentary is phenomenal. For the people that really just want to own the documentary, this is why I gave you the listing to that standard 4K, 50th anniversary 4K, that's $22. Because I think there's merit in owning the documentary. And I know it could sound silly and kind of dumb, but the reality is, guys, you never know what happens with these kinds of documentaries. They could show up on these sites and then randomly get taken down, and maybe that's when you want to revisit it again. If you've got it, you can watch whenever you want. So if the documentary is that important, it is important to you, like it is to me, because I'm a documentary fanatic, get that standard 4K 50th anniversary for cheaper, for $22, and then you're going to get that documentary. If you love the Steelbook, and I'm going to be dead ass honest with you, had I really paid attention earlier and knew about that standard 4K 50th anniversary, I probably would have just gotten that to review the documentary. I'll be straight up. But with that being said, I do like this 4K. It does look really good. But I'm not going to say, yes, get the 4K. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, weigh your options, and, you know, it depends on how well you like documentaries and how important that. For me, I love documentaries about Jaws. I just thought this was a phenomenal documentary. I give it an A-. And the quality, as silly it is to talk about the quality of a documentary, I mean, it looked like a 4K throughout because of how big of a production it was. So that's it, guys. I'm going to say weigh your options. Check the prices on the Steelbook if you do like the Steelbook. But if you want to get the documentary and own it, that standard 4K is an option. I wish I kind of had known about that. But it is what it is. Can't cry over spilled milk, guys. That's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about that. Jaws at 50, the definitive documentary, included in the new 50th anniversary release. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, let me know, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. Thank you, guys. God bless y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.